What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Ace of Base, and I wanted to start this one by giving a big shout out to Mikey, friend of the channel, following this and Garbage and some other things. And yeah, he had a pet pass away recently, and people who know what that's like will be aware that it's a very tough experience, so I wanted to give a big shout out to you, Mikey, and any of you who feel like doing the same in the comments, go right ahead and do that. And when I reacted to the version of this track from the album, Flowers 1998, the track being He Decides, I had forgotten to do at the same time the Charles Fisher mix. And Mikey had said for a while, when I was leading up to this reaction, or to the previous reaction, that one of the versions is one of his least favorite, if not the least favorite track from Ace of Base, and the other one he likes a lot. So I'm intrigued by that dichotomy. He didn't reveal which one it is until I went through both of them, so I'm back to do that now. And as I said, we're going to hear the Charles Fisher mix. Not a remix artist I'm familiar with, so I have no basis for evaluating what this might sound like based on a reputation. I will say the original or normal version of the track had a bit of the classic Ace of Base sound, a bit of the gloominess in some parts, although most of it kind of had a happier, uplifting feeling. It had that reggae synth-pop synthesis, at least in part. I would say less so than some of their other tracks, but it still had a bit of that flavor. So let's hear it. This is the Charles Fisher mix of the tune He Decides from their 1998 album, Flowers. Better already.
You hear the whispering around you all the time. Oh. Can't you tell the difference between things when you're in love?
That's smoky bass.
I hear your voice is trembling every time when he's around. Your detached engagement and the things that same is love for. He decides whether you should smile, whether you should cry, whether you should be happy. He decides whether you should smile, whether you should cry, whether you should be glad. If he doesn't love you, you're afraid you can't go on. Living without loving never makes a person strong. If he really loves you, let him show you that instead. I will be here with you, 'cause I know that you're afraid of love. He decides whether you should smile, whether you should cry, whether you should be happy. He decides whether you should smile, whether you should cry, whether you should be sad.
plateaued, and then it faded a little more and plateaued. So yeah, I think for me that's the superior version for a couple reasons. One, that deep smoky bass really stood out as the sonic difference of note. I would also say the vocals sounded a bit more trans-dimensional, like they were sort of whispered and all around you, but they're sort of phasing in and out. You're not quite not quite sure where you're hearing them. Whereas the vocals in the original one felt more true or straight away. So I think, given a couple lines in the song, the vocal articulation here feels like it's thematic, whereas in the other one, it didn't feel as much like that in the delivery, or the way they were rendered. I would also say the feeling of darkness was greater in this one, but even in the sections where it did turn light, it felt less simple or sort of happy in the lightness. It felt more grand and rising. So it still had that light-dark dichotomy a bit, but I think both sides of it were superior in this version. It also had that almost like fax machine or like telephone digital kind of sound that would be near, it was sort of in the top of the track, and a couple times it had a very mechanical articulation to it. So yeah, the sonic composition, or I suppose recomposition in this, I think was superior, and it felt like it hit more the attitude or the feeling of the song that, you know, you're not quite sure how you're going to be feeling. It really depends on how this other person is behaving toward you, and you're not quite sure where you sit in the middle of it all. So a really interesting remix. Again, anyone who knows about Charles Fisher and, you know, other artists he may have worked with, do let me know, or at least remix songs from. I realize sometimes remixes are not done with the original group. They're more, you know, they take the song, do something different with it. But yeah, I think I do prefer this to the other one. Let me know what you think, and Luca and I will see you next time. Peace.